Lone Star Community Radio presents the Lone Star Radio Hour. For the next hour, you will hear locally produced radio plays from different groups around Montgomery County. If you're interested in the Lone Star Radio Hour and you want us to run one of your programs that you produced, just contact us at lscrstudios at gmail.com. If you are interested in recording your own show here at the studio, you can just contact us. And we're also looking for sponsorships for this time slot. So, again, just contact us at lscrstudios at gmail.com. You can also visit the Lone Star Radio Hour online at irlonestar.com/LSRH. That's irlonestar.com/LSRH. For all the plays on on-demand format. The following radio play you're about to hear is produced by the Players Theater Company in Conroe, Texas. For more information on the Players, check them out online at www.owentheater.com/players.
Live from the Owen Theater, located in the glittering arts and entertainment district of downtown Conroe, Texas, comes the Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour. This is your series host, Dennis Nelson, welcoming a live audience for our first comedy broadcast from the Owen. Our Miss Brooks follows the life of a high school English teacher with a cutting wit. It began on CBS as a radio show broadcast from 1948 to 1957. When the show was adapted to television, it became one of the medium's earliest hits. Lead actress Eve Arden became the center of attention of national education groups. For instance, Arden was made an honorary member of the National Education Association and received a 1952 award from the Teachers College of Connecticut's Alumni Association for, quote, humanizing the American teacher, unquote. But enough about yesteryear. Let's introduce you to our cast of familiar players. The multi-talented Martha Davis appears tonight as Mrs. Davis and Laverne Smith. Debonair Mark Wilson will play Mr. Boynton this evening. The gifted Camille Wright joins us as Stretch Snodgrass. The radiant Jamie Blair plays Harriet Conklin this evening. The versatile Will Radcliffe appears tonight as Walter Denton. And the excellent Larry Davis returns to us as Mr. Conklin. Yours truly, Dennis Nelson, will be playing Mr. Stone this evening. You know, it's actually kind of strange standing here mentioning myself and talking about myself.
Then I'll do it for you. Dennis is the steadfast host of the Crichton Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour, and we're happy to have him on cast this evening. I understand you just got finished across the street with your own show, The Jazz Message. Is that right?
That is correct, sir. Every other Sunday, The Jazz Message is a part of Retro Sundays with Tina, right here on Lone Star Internet Radio.
But more about that later.
Oh, much more, I'm sure. I see you're getting the hang of this thing now, Larry. Thanks for your assistance. Finally, we have the stellar Marilyn Moore, who comes to us tonight playing Connie Brooks. Tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going the extra mile. We're going to perform the vintage commercials from the original sponsor of our Miss Brooks, Colgate-Palmolive. And speaking of time travel, I'll remind you that the Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour is just part of a celebration of the past on Lone Star. Every Sunday night on Lone Star Internet Radio, tune in to Retro Sundays with Tina, right before this show, starting at 5 p.m. Then, after our show, stay tuned for Lone Star Classical Music After Dark with Gordon. Now, pack your bags. We're headed back to high school. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Well, most of us have already made our plans for celebrating Thanksgiving, but our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, hadn't really given it much thought, up until last Friday morning when she sat down to breakfast with her landlady.
Well, it's only 6 more days till Thanksgiving, Mrs. Davis.
I can hardly believe it, Connie. A whole year's gone by since last Thanksgiving.
Isn't it awful? The years do that every year.
Well, it seems like yesterday that I was preparing our last Thanksgiving dinner. We didn't have much money to spend on my shopping, but we celebrated just the same.
Oh, I'll never forget that meal, Mrs. Davis. A whole roast stuffed pepper.
I feel very badly about not being able to spend Thanksgiving with you this year, Connie, but I've accepted an invitation from my sister Angela.
Oh, that's all right, Mrs. Davis.
I'd ask you to join me at her place, but she hasn't been at all well lately. We'll just be having the immediate family, my brother Victor and myself. Oh, poor Angela. It seems the older she gets, the more absent-minded she gets.
Yes, you've mentioned it to me, Mrs. Davis.
Lately, she's been worse than ever. Why, sometimes she can be talking right along when suddenly, right in the middle of a sentence...
Yes, right in the middle of a sentence.
Right in the middle of a sentence.
Right in the middle of a sentence what?
Right in the middle of a sentence what? What?
You've been seeing a little too much of Angela.
Who's Angela?
She's your brother Victor's absent-minded sister. But don't worry about my holiday, Mrs. Davis. I'll get my pearly teeth into something on Thanksgiving Day.
How about Mr. Boynton?
Yum, yum. Oh, you mean spending the day with him? Well, he hasn't asked me as yet, but I'll toss him a hint at school today.
I'm certain that he will invite you out, Connie, and then you can be sure of your turkey and all the trimmings.
I don't know about the turkey, but if Mr. Boynton and I eat out, I'm a cinch to take my usual trimming.
Does Mr. Boynton always insist on going Dutch, Connie?
I wouldn't say that, Mrs. Davis. It's just a coincidence that I'm buying him a pair of wooden shoes for Christmas. But why worry about it now? As Madison star athlete Stretch Snodgrass told me in English class the other day, live good in the present. The future never done nothing to nobody. Oh, Stretch is a nice kid, though. He seemed genuinely concerned about my spending Thanksgiving alone. He told me he would have asked me to his home, but his folks are going out of town with the Dentons. Oh, that must be Walter now. He's driving me down to school. I'm coming, Walter.
I'll clear off the table and get started on the dishes, Connie. Say hello to Walter for me.
All right, Mrs. Davis. Come on in, Walter.
I step over this threshold with fear and trepidation.
What do you mean?
I am the editor-in-chief of the Monitor of Madison High School, true?
Oh, true.
Well, I made the mistake of letting Stretch Snodgrass set up some of the type yesterday, and he sneaked an item into the personal column that cannot be a source of great mortification to someone very near and dear to both of our hearts.
Who?
You.
Me?
None other. I've got a copy with me. Look at this paragraph, Miss Brooks.
Let's see it. To who it may concern. Well, that's Stretch, all right. It says, it is pitiful to be alone on Thanksgiving Day. If there is one way how people can show their real Thanksgivingness, it is by sharing their dinner with some poor, unfortunate fellow human person who is alone. Not mentioning any names. Oh, well, that's a relief.
Oh, keep reading.
Not mentioning any names. If somebody wants to share his or her meal with this lonely human person, all you have to do is walk up and say, you can have Thanksgiving dinner with me, Miss Brooks.
Oh, Miss Brooks, isn't that awful? Are you going to punish Stretch?
I'm not making any snap judgments, Walter. First, let's see if this ad brings any results.
Excuse me, Miss Brooks, but I'd like to talk to you before you go into your classroom.
I think that might be arranged, Mr. Boynton.
I just read this rather peculiar notice in the school paper, and I wonder...
Oh, that's a little prank that Stretch played on me, Mr. Boynton. Just pay a lot of attention to it.
When I read it, Miss Brooks, I made up my mind I'd be the first one to talk to you about it.
Really? How nice, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, it isn't easy to be alone on Thanksgiving, on a holiday.
No, you're so right.
Many's a Thanksgiving dinner I've eaten alone, but when I saw that notice in the paper, I said to myself, by George Philip Boynton.
I didn't know your name was George Philip Boynton.
That's just an expression I use. As I was saying, I said to myself, this is one Thanksgiving you don't have to eat alone. Well, what I want to ask you isn't easy for me, Miss Brooks.
Maybe I can help. I promise not to order anything over $1.50. Oh, please continue.
Since I saw that paragraph in the Monitor, I wondered if...
I'll make it $1 even, and I'll leave the tip. Please, Mr. Boynton, just ask me what you want to.
All right, I will.
Good.
Miss Brooks, if that notice brings you more than one invitation to dinner, could I make use of the extra one?
You wanted to see me, Mr. Conklin?
Yes, Miss Brooks. Sit down, won't you please? Here, take this leather chair by my desk. That's it. Are you nice and comfy?
Yes, sir, I'm fine, but how are you?
Oh, splendid, thanks. You understand this is the time of the year we should all be imbued with the Thanksgiving spirit. And that's why I have summoned you to my office, Miss Brooks, to tell you that in spite of the inconveniences you have wreaked upon me, I harbor no ill will.
Well, that's very nice to hear, Mr. Conklin.
I am thankful for
sort
everything that has happened to me in the past year. Now take the time that you dropped that typewriter on my toe. I just give thanks it didn't land higher and fracture my whole foot.
Well, that was pitiful of me, wasn't it?
And then when I think back to the time that you stepped on my eyeglasses and crushed them, well, I give thanks that they weren't on my nose at the time. But my main purpose in calling you here is to inform you that I have read the notice in this morning's Monitor.
Oh, that's just a joke, Mr. Conklin. It was written by one of the pupils in my English class.
Yes, I could tell from its construction. However, I want you to know, Miss Brooks, that I was quite touched by that item. The more so since I, too, will be all alone this Thanksgiving.
But what about your daughter and Mrs. Conklin?
Oh, they're spending the day with Harriet's grandmother, my wife's dear mother. We asked her to join us for the holiday, but she lives almost 100 miles away, and she thinks she's got high blood pressure or something. So nothing would do but that Harriet and Martha visit her. Bless her crotchety old heart.
But why aren't you going along?
What? Me make a trip like that with my high blood pressure? The doctor has absolutely forbidden it. In any event, when I read that notice, Miss Brooks, I thought, well, you know what? We just might go ahead and have a more enjoyable Thanksgiving for both of us.
Both of us?
Yes. Since we are both going to be alone, I'd like to ask you, I wonder if you, what I have to say is not easy for me, Miss Brooks.
Maybe I can help. I promise not to order anything over $1.50.
Loneliness can do more to undermine a person's morale than almost anything. And, if possible...
I'll make it $1 and I'll leave the tip.
Please don't understand me, Miss Brooks. What I want to ask you is, if that notice, brings you more than one invitation, could I make use of the extra one?
Why should you be an exception? Oh, of course, Mr. Conklin. Now, if you'll excuse me, sir, I've got to get to my classroom.
Oh, very well. You may go. And be sure and keep me apprised of all the results, Miss Brooks.
Yes, sir. I'm sure we'll be pelted with turkey dinners. Spirit of Thanksgiving, are you comfy, Miss Brooks? Take this chair, Miss Brooks, of all the insincere, overbearing...
Hi, Miss Brooks. I see that you just came out of Daddy's office. Is he very disgruntled this morning?
No, Harriet, he's not gruntling any louder than usual. He does seem a bit put out at having to eat Thanksgiving dinner alone.
Oh, but he's not going to. Grandmother's coming down to our place after all. We're going to surprise Daddy.
Oh, that should do it.
He's so sentimental about the holidays. Now he'll be able to do his Thanksgiving carving just like always. It'll be loads of fun. I've already invited Walter Denton to come over.
Good. I can't think of anyone your father would rather carve.
I know he's not crazy about Walter, but during the holiday season, Daddy's always a little more mellow. I'm going to do some shopping today. Mother gave me $5 for a turkey.
That doesn't seem like much, Harriet. How big a turkey are you planning on getting?
Oh, just a nice 8-pounder.
Will that be enough to go around? Mr. Boynton's a pretty big eater, you know.
Mr. Boynton? He'll be eating with you, won't he?
He certainly will, and at what better place to be joining him for Thanksgiving dinner than in the warm confines of your cozy dining room.
But I would like to invite you both, Miss Brooks. But I've only got $5. That's all Mother said to spend.
Tell you what, Harriet, give me the $5, and I'll see that we get a big enough turkey for all of us.
Well, if you really want to come, Miss Brooks, I'd certainly like to have you, and I'm sure Mother would too. But there have been times when you and Daddy...
Don't you see, Harriet, if Walter's coming, you'll be doing your daddy a good turn by inviting me.
Oh, how do you mean, Miss Brooks?
With both of us there, we'll be an antidote for each other.
We'll be right back in just a moment with our Miss Brooks.
Brush your teeth with Colgate. Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. And the Colgate Company stops tooth decay best. More than 2 years' research shows the Colgate way of brushing right after eating helps stop more decay for more people than ever before reported in dentifrice history. Yes, the Colgate way stops tooth decay best, better than any other home method of oral hygiene. No other dentifrice, ammoniated or not, has proof of such results. And you should know that Colgate was the one and only toothpaste used in the research on both decay, recently reported in Reader's Digest. So always follow the Colgate way to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and stop tooth decay. Brush your teeth with Colgate. What a toothpaste.
And now we return to our visit with our Miss Brooks.
Well, when lunch period arrived, as luck and I would have it, Mr. Boynton brought his tray right to my table in the cafeteria. In spite of the fact that he had a nice lunch before him, he didn't begin eating, but sat with his fork poised and stared into my eyes with a deep, absorbing emotion. It was a terribly romantic moment as Mr. Boynton leaned across the table and in a voice choked with passion said,
Get any extra invites to Thanksgiving dinner?
"No, and get your fork out of my cottage cheese.
Sorry, I was just wondering about that notice in the Monitor.
And you can forget about the notice, Mr. Boynton. I've wrangled us both an invitation to join the Conklins for the holiday.
Oh, say, that's wonderful. Mrs. Conklin's a fine cook.
There's only one catch. We've got exactly $5 with which to buy a turkey that'll feed 6 people.
Well, how in the world are we going to do that, Miss Brooks?
You and I can chip in another $5 between us.
There must be some other way.
Well, there isn't. Not unless I put up the entire amount, and I can't unless I pawn my earrings again.
Oh, but Miss Brooks...
I wouldn't care if I hadn't had my ears pierced. You have no idea how drafty my lobes get in November.
You won't have to pawn anything. There is a way we can get a good-sized young turkey very reasonably.
How?
By merely eliminating the butcher.
What do we do? Buy the turkey from its parents?
Don't you see, Miss Brooks, we have to go after a live turkey. Well, they're much cheaper than in the stores. Why, we can probably pick one up for even less than $5.
Well, there's nothing to it, of course not. All we have to do is find a young turkey who hasn't learned the value of money.
Once we get a good one, we can kill it ourselves, pluck the feathers, clean it, and dress it.
There must be some other way.
Believe me, this will work, Miss Brooks. I know a place about 20 miles from here. A fellow named Tobin has a turkey farm. We'll drive out after school and see what he's got.
Say, it might be fun at that. A nice drive in the country together.
Well, sure. The fresh air will be good for all of us.
All of us?
You, me, and my pet frog, McDougal. He hasn't been at all well lately, Miss Brooks.
What's the trouble?
He can't seem to sleep.
Well, maybe he reads too late. I mean, where has he been sleeping?
Oh, his usual place, on a newspaper in his cage.
Well, there's your answer. How can anybody sleep with the news that's in the paper nowadays?
Well, old Tobin certainly gave us a nice gobbler for $5.
Yes, he did, but I still can't get too enthusiastic about having to execute it ourselves.
Well, you just feel that way because she's a hen turkey. Tobin seemed quite attached to it himself. What was it he called her again?
Bernice. Oh, isn't that cute? She knows her name.
Oh, that's nothing. Mac knows his name, too.
Your frog?
Of course. His cage is right beside you in the seat. Just pick it up and call to him.
Oh, that's ridiculous, Mr. Boynton. I'm not going to start any conversations with McDougal.
What'd I tell you?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm putting him in the back with Bernice. Ah, there you go, Mac. You can keep each other company back there.
Oh, poor Mac. He's been so apathetic from lack of sleep, he probably won't even notice Bernice.
From the saying, like father, like frog. But Bernice is very interested in Mac. Oh, isn't that cute? She's got her head right next to his cage.
What in the world is Mac doing?
You have just heard the frog's version of a wolf whistle.
Well, that's one for the book. Mac is suddenly smitten by that hen turkey. Say, what's going on in the back seat now, Miss Brooks?
Something that should be going on in the front seat. Meaning, they're getting better acquainted. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he's asking her out to a dance.
That would be quite a sight. Well, actually, Bernice is much too tall for Mac.
Oh, I don't know. She's a natural for a barn dance. Do-si-do now, I ain't bluffing. Dance too hard and you lose your stuffing. Oh, calm down, Bernice. I was just kidding.
And now that we've got her, Miss Brooks, where are we supposed to take the turkey?
To the Conklin's backyard. Mr. and Mrs. Conklin are attending a tea party, so it won't spoil Mr. Conklin's surprise.
Will Harriet be there to give us a hand?
Uh-huh, so will Walter. He's bringing his A-X-E. Oh, how do you like that? She can spell, too.
Careful with her crate, Walter. There's a slat loose on the side.
Yeah, I got it, Mr. Boynton. Oh, I'll just set it down in the driveway.
My, what a wonderful turkey.
Sorry, Mac, you'll have to wait in the car.
Boy, it's a beauty, all right. Positively inspiring. Oh, what a perfect combination. The lovely, graceful neck of a turkey and my trusty Boy Scout hatchet.
What a charming thought. You've been seeing too many kid shows on television. But if it has to be done, the quicker the better.
Right you are, Miss Brooks. Want a blindfold turkey?
No, but I do.
Look out, she's running away.
Get out of the way, Walter. She's heading for the house.
Miss Brooks, do something.
Don't look at me. I'm on her side.
She's going through the dining room window.
What made her do that?
Maybe she wants to try on one of the platters for size.
We've got to get her out of here before Daddy comes home. We want this to be a surprise. Come on in the side door.
Where could she have gone?
She doesn't seem to be in the dining room anymore.
Maybe she went in Daddy's study.
You look in there, Harriet, and Walter, you try the kitchen.
Well, where are you going to look?
I'll take the closet with Mr. Boynton. You kids, go ahead.
Miss Brooks, you don't think the turkey really went into the closet, do you?
Who knows? It shouldn't take us more than 20 minutes to find out.
I think the turkey's definitely in the study somewhere. Take a look behind the couch, Walter.
Okay, Harriet. I'll sneak up on the little beauty with the stealth of a barefoot pilgrim.
That might be Daddy. He always forgets his keys. Walter, stay put behind that couch. Miss Brooks and Mr. Boynton, follow me.
Where are you going to hide us?
In this clothes closet, right across the hall. Quick, Miss Brooks, get in. I'll be right there. hello, Daddy.
Forgot my key again, Harriet.
Where's Mother?
She's doing some shopping for tonight.
For dinner?
Oh, don't mention that word. I ate so much at that confounded tea party that I can hardly breathe. I'm going into my study and lie down on the couch for a while.
Oh, but you can't. I mean, gee, you know what nightmares you get when you go to sleep after eating. Remember the time you thought there were bats in your bedroom?
Yes, that was after I saw Lost Weekend. Don't fuss around me, child. I can hardly keep my eyes open.
But, Daddy, wouldn't the bedroom be more comfortable?
I could never make it up the stairs. Just call me in an hour or so, please.
Oh, dear. Miss Brooks, Mr. Boynton, come out of the closet.
Go away!
Did I hear your father say he was going to take a nap in the study, Harriet?
Yes, and I'm almost positive the turkey's in there.
Oh, we can't be sure. I'm going to look around the back of the house.
Miss Brooks, let's tiptoe to the study door and listen. He's already asleep, thank goodness.
Well, let's open the door then. Take another peek.
Look, Miss Brooks, the turkey just came out of the closet. She's walking toward the couch.
Now he's starting to wake up.
Daddy's looking at the turkey.
Now the turkey's looking at Daddy. I wonder which one will scream first.
What's that? Oh, hey. Oh, it's a nightmare. Well, I never should try to sleep after all that food. Oh, turkey, nice turkey. I know you're not there. Please go away.
You stay here, Harriet. I've got an idea. Mr. Conklin. Hello, Mr. Conklin.
What? Miss Brooks, is that you? Are you really here?
What's the difference as long as it's a nightmare? I heard you moaning in your sleep, sir, and I thought maybe...
Never mind what you thought. Get this turkey out of my study.
What turkey?
What turkey? What was that?
Maybe your dream turkey has an allergy.
Oh, the turkey just walked out the door. That sneeze came from behind the couch.
It's just me, Mr. Conklin. Me and my trusty hatchet.
Oh, Gad, dream or no dream, boy. There's no reason to go berserk. Sure, we've had our differences, we really have, but deep down in my heart, I always had a warm spot for you.
Please, Mr. Conklin, don't get hysterical. Why don't you lie down and close your eyes?
How can I close my eyes with Walter standing over me with a hatchet?
Walter? Walter who?
Oh, if I don't call my doctor when I wake up, I'll never go to sleep again. Oh, well. Might as well relax.
That's the idea, Mr. Conklin. Take a nice long snooze.
Miss Brooks, Bernice just ran out of the backyard and... Oh, I beg your pardon, Mr. Conklin. I didn't mean to disturb you.
Oh, that's all right, Boynton. You'll disappear in a few minutes.
Disappear?
Mr. Conklin's been dreaming, and let's keep it that way.
It's all right, Miss Brooks. The turkey ran right into our garage, and I closed the door.
What's going on here?
We just wanted to surprise you, sir.
May I say you have?
Please don't be angry, Daddy. Miss Brooks saved us a lot of money by getting us a live turkey. I only gave her $5.
$5?
Yes, sir. You see, you're not going to be alone after all. That was a surprise Harriet planned. Not only is your mother-in-law coming down for Thanksgiving, but we're all joining you, too.
Now, I have a dispatch for you. After the tea, I saw my doctor, and he put me on a strict vegetarian diet. Harriet and her mother are going to spend the holidays with Granny as planned. And as for you, Miss Brooks, kindly hand over the $5 my daughter gave you.
But we paid that for the turkey.
You can have the turkey. All I want is my money.
But we can't get a refund now. The used turkey market is shot to pieces. What will Mr. Boynton and I do with an entire turkey?
That, Miss Brooks, is your concern. For once, I might add, the joke is on you.
Well, I've celebrated some Thanksgivings in my time, but this is the biggest bird I ever received.
And now, one last word from Luster Cream Shampoo. Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight, yes, tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Luster Cream, world's finest shampoo. No other shampoo in the world gives the magic blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Better than a soap, better than a liquid. Luster Cream is a baby clean shampoo. Leaves hair 3 ways lovelier. Fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Even in hardest water, Luster Cream lathers instantly. So gentle, Luster Cream is wonderful even for children's hair. Tonight, yes, tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo.
You owe your crowning glory to a Luster Cream shampoo. This is Dennis Nelson inviting you to stay tuned for another Our Miss Brooks show brought to you by Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair, and Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay. And now we pause for a moment for this important message.
The current Players Theater Company season at the Owen is fantastic. Upcoming productions promise toe-tapping melodies, burning passion, whimsical romance, and riotous laughter.
Your holidays will not be complete without attending that hot ticket musical, A Christmas Carol on Broadway, which opens December 5th.
2015 brings even more with a comedy full of wit, charm, and frostbite in Almost Maine.
Which then leads into the pressure cooker of passion, Tennessee Williams' masterpiece, A Streetcar Named Desire.
Going right into the musical family favorite, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma.
And then our season finishes up with a rollicking dancing comedy, Steppin' Out.
Wow, I've got my plans for the whole year.
And so can you. For more information on discount season tickets, go to owentheatre.com. That's OWENTHEATRE.com.
Be sure to join us for our best season yet at the Owen Theater.
And now, we continue with our hysterical double feature visit with Our Miss Brooks. It's time again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, written by Al Lewis. Not the Al Lewis who played Grandpa on The Munsters, but a different Al Lewis. Well, Tuesday, January 3rd, marked the end of the holidays, and teachers and pupils all over the country returned to their various halls of learning. Our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School, was discussing her vacation with her landlady at breakfast last Tuesday.
I guess vacations are necessary sometimes, Connie. But now I suppose you're looking forward to returning to dear old Madison High with considerable enthusiasm.
Yes, indeed, Mrs. Davis, with all the enthusiasm of a sailor returning to his dear old submarine after a 2-week vacation on Bally.
You'll get back into the swing in no time, Connie. Is Walter Denton picking you up this morning?
Yes, he is, and I hope he's on time. Our beloved principal has designated today as Board of Education Day.
Oh? What sort of ceremony is Mr. Conklin planning?
Well, Mr. Stone, the head of the board, will be there for his annual oiling, and Mr. Conklin will have the whole school lined up on the campus. Some of the students will even march past Mr. Stone carrying the flag.
Well, it can't do any harm, Connie. The board might decide to give you teachers a raise in the coming year.
I hope so. Then maybe next year we'll be strong enough to carry the flag. I'll get it. I'll be right there.
I'll take the dishes to the kitchen.
All right, Mrs. Davis, and thanks for breakfast. Oh, good morning, Walter.
It's more than that, Miss Brooks. This is the morning when the glorious gates of learning fling open anew, when the tantalizing aroma of chalk and pencil shavings beckons us all, teachers and pupils alike, to join hands and amidst the clanging of bells come gaily skipping back to the black hole of Calcutta.
Why, Walter, I didn't know you had it in you, and I wish you'd put it back. You did have a nice vacation, didn't you?
Oh, sure I did, Miss Brooks. That is, up until last night. And then it was practically ruined by Mr. Conklin. He ordered me to write an editorial for the Madison Monitor on what the Board of Education means to me.
Did you write it?
Well, sure I did. But you know what a tyrant old Marblehead can be. Mr. Conklin can be when you cross him. But as a believer in freedom of the press, I really gave that Board of Education both barrels.
Walter, this is a new year. Don't you think one barrel would have been enough?
Giving us Monday off after New Year's Day, and then making us go to school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday is downright sadistic.
Well, it's better than not having Monday off at all, isn't it?
Oh, well, sure, but it's not as good as having the rest of the week off, too.
Well, I'm with you there, Walter. It would also be nice if they gave us February and March off, but that isn't the way the board works.
Sometimes I doubt if they work at all. But it's all in this editorial, Miss Brooks. Here, I told Mr. Conklin you'd proofread it and bring it into his office this morning.
Me?
Well, sure. You're faculty advisor to the school paper, aren't you? Don't be nervous about handing it to him, Miss Brooks. Just toss it on his desk.
I can only do that if you'll agree to do something for me.
Oh, what's that, Miss Brooks?
Notify my next of kin. Look, Walter, Mr. Conklin wants to start the year off with a spirit of cooperation. You'd better destroy this literary Frankenstein.
Oh, I couldn't do that, Miss Brooks. But I'll think it over on the way to school. Maybe amend some of my statements.
Fine. Now, I'll just slip on my coat and we can get going.
Swell. My pal Stretch is waiting out in the car, and he's pretty brought down.
Stretch Snodgrass? What's the matter with him?
Well, you know what a great athlete Stretch is. He can pick up any sport in a second, but he can't seem to absorb much with his brain. He's afraid that during the holidays he forgot everything he learned all term. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. The alphabet.
Go ahead, Stretch. Tell Miss Brooks what's bothering you. She might be able to help you out.
I'll certainly try, Stretch. What's your immediate problem?
Everything.
Good. Long as you've got it localized, I can help you.
I mean, everything at school, Miss Brooks. You see, I just got to stay eligible for basketball, but Mr. Boynton says I got to take a biology test pretty soon. And I forgot so much during our vacation, I'm afraid I'm just not no good at no biology no more.
Stretch. It is incorrect to use a double negative in a sentence. You just use 4 of them.
Oh, then what I said was okay, huh? Gee, I'm sure glad I didn't forget none of my English, like I forgot about my animals in biology. Gosh, I used to know my animals like I know my A, B,
C's. I was right about the alphabet.
Oh, yeah, I guess you were. Go on, Stretch. Tell Miss Brooks some more about the test.
Well, I think it's going to be mostly about birds and monkeys and stuff like that there.
What? Where?
I got to know the names of the different kinds of baboons, which I used to know real good, but I forgot.
Well, don't worry about it, Stretch. If you want me to, I'll meet you after school and review your lessons with you.
Oh, gosh, that'd be keen, Miss Brooks. I bet even the baboons know the names of all the other baboons.
Well, don't worry about that either. If you'll just concentrate and spend the next couple of years studying, you'll be as smart as any other baboon.
I summon you to my office, Miss Brooks, to inform you of the fact that at 1 o'clock, Mr. Stone is due to arrive. So promptly at 12:55, the students and faculty will line up outside between the old cannon and the flagpole.
Yes, sir.
And then I will greet Mr. Stone and read aloud the editorial, which is to appear in the next issue of the Madison Monitor.
Oh, the editorial
I'm not finished, Miss Brooks. The editorial is called What the Board of Education Means to Me, and was written by Walter Denton. Now, as you know, I am not overly fond of young Denton, but as my daughter Harriet pointed out to me, he does get off some good editorials.
He gets off some pips, but Mr. Conklin, I don't
He
think
said
this
you
is...
deliver this one to me after proofreading it, Miss Brooks. May I have it, please?
May you have it, please? But Mr. Conklin, I haven't got it, and neither has Walter. He told me he lost it on the way to school today.
Lost it? Well, that's out of the question. He's just trying to
Mr.
delay.
Conklin, if you're going to use an editorial as a welcoming speech, you should write it yourself.
Me?
Of course. You're a master of the editorial form. Why, even your interclass communications are sheer poetry.
They are?
Certainly they are. You sit right down at your desk, Mr. Conklin, and start creating.
Well, I have to say I do have a way with words, I suppose. Yes. Yes, I'll draft a speech this morning and send it to you at lunchtime, Miss Brooks, for proofreading. Not that you'll find any grammatical errors.
Oh, of course not.
But correct every one you find. Oh, and one more thing before you go. I'd like some exciting conclusion to the ceremony I've planned on the campus. Something that would really wind it up in a spectacular manner. Any suggestions, Miss Brooks?
Well, you say we're lining up between the cannon and the flagpole?
That is correct, Miss Brooks.
Then I think I've got just the idea for you, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, what is it, Miss Brooks?
Let's shoot Walter Denton out of the cannon.
Our Miss Brooks will continue in just one moment, but first, let's give a listen to Laverne Smith.
Now, proof that brushing teeth right after eating with Colgate Dental Cream helps stop tooth decay before it starts. Continuous research, hundreds of case histories, makes this the most conclusive proof in all dentifrice research on tooth decay. Eminent dental authorities provided hundreds of college men and women for over 2 years. One group always brushed their teeth with Colgate right after eating. The other followed their usual dental care. The group using Colgate Dental Cream as directed, using Colgate exclusively, showed a startling reduction in the average number of cavities and far less tooth decay. The other group developed cavities at a much higher rate. No other dentifrice offers proof of these results. Modern research shows that decay is caused by mouth acids, which are at their worst right after eating. Brushing teeth with Colgate as directed helps remove acids before they harm enamel. So, brush your teeth with Colgate. Colgate Dental Cream, it cleans your breath. What a toothpaste, while it cleans your teeth.
Well, all during my morning classes, I waited for Mr. Conklin's epic essay, What the Board of Education Means to Me. But when the epic didn't arrive at noon, I decided to expose myself to a luncheon invitation from Mr. Boynton and hurried toward the biology laboratory. Just a few doorways from my goal, I was intercepted by Madison's athletic giant and mental midget Stretch Snodgrass.
Excuse me, Miss Brooks, but could I see you for a minute?
I suppose so, Stretch. What's new?
Mr. Conklin appointed me messenger of the day. That means I'm supposed to deliver messages.
Great. What does he want to see me about?
Mr. Conklin told me to deliver his Board of Education speech to you during the lunch period. That's why I stopped you just now.
Why?
I ain't got it.
I haven't got it.
Oh, I know you ain't got it. I'm supposed to give it to you.
Well, why ain't you got it?
He ain't give it to me yet.
One of us is getting nowhere in my English class. Now, if you'll just excuse me, Stretch.
Oh, sure, Miss Brooks.
Just leave the speech in Mr. Boynton's lab as soon as Mr. Conklin gives it to you. I've been anticipating this luncheon date for some time.
Okay, Miss Brooks. I'm sorry I held you up.
That's all right.
I didn't mean to take up so much of your time.
It's all right, Stretch.
I didn't know you were anticipating.
So long, Stretch.
Come in. Well, it's Miss Brooks. I'll be with you in just a minute. I've been trying to correct this biology test paper. It's an essay.
Oh?
I can hardly make out the name of... The writing is so illegible. Let's see. Could it be Snodgrass?
What's the title of the essay?
A man's best friend is his animals.
It's Snodgrass, all right.
Listen to this. Love birds is very nice pets, as they don't never bother nobody hardly, but is all the time busy making love. Isn't that terrible?
You can't knock it to me. Oh, you mean the grammar. Oh, yes, it's pretty bad.
And here's another paragraph. Baboons is pretty big, and the mandrill is the biggest baboon of all. They make very nice pets, as they don't never bother nobody hardly, but is all the time busy making love.
He ought to change the title to An Animal's Best Friend is His Animals. Yeah, you can finish that later, Mr. Boynton. Let's go to lunch,
Okay, very well, Miss Brooks. I hope we run into Walter Denton in the cafeteria. These papers must have fallen out of his briefcase this morning, and I'd like to return them. Seems to be an editorial for the school paper.
Oh, let's see that. What the Board of Education Means to Me by Walter Denton. Oh, I'm glad I discovered this in time. As faculty advisor to the paper, Mr. Conklin will hold me responsible for the most embarrassing incident that ever happened in Madison.
Well, what do you mean, Miss Brooks? What's in the editorial?
Just a pint or two of Walter's spleen. It's a blast at the board, which I'm going to tear up right now.
Miss Brooks, just a minute. Look what you've done. You've torn up Stretch's essay along with the other one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Boynton. What were you planning to do with it? Send it to the Congressional Library? Such deathless prose. Baboons don't never bother nobody hardly, but is all the time busy making love. Oh, what am I laughing at? It should happen to both of us.
Miss Brooks? Mr. Boynton? Guess they went to lunch. Well, I'll just leave Mr. Conklin's speech on the desk.
Hiya, Stretch. Have you heard about the ceremonies we're going to have?
Yeah, Walter. Mr. Stone's coming down, and we all got to line up and greet him.
And boy, is he going to get a greeting. I'm cooking some powder down in the chem lab that I'm going to put in back of the old cannon. And when Mr. Stone gets here, we'll give him a salute that he'll hear till he's 90.
Gosh, do you think Mr. Conklin will like that?
Well, he doesn't know about it yet. What's on this desk here? Oh, what the Board of Education means to me. Say, I thought I lost this editorial while I was in here this morning.
What editorial?
This one. Gee, I'm glad I found it. Miss Brooks was right. This could get me in a lot of trouble.
But Walter...
This thing is dynamite. I'm gonna tear it up right now.
But you shouldn't. There's something I gotta tell you.
In a minute. Oh, now, what is it, Stretch?
That wasn't your editorial you just tore up.
It wasn't?
No, it was a speech that Mr. Conklin's been sweating out all morning.
Huh?
Yeah, he told me to give it to Miss Brooks. But don't worry, Walter. I'm very good at jigsaw puzzles. I'll just pick the pieces out of the wastebasket and paste them together again.
I better help you. Oh, but the chem lab, I've got powder cooking.
You better get back there, Walter. This'll be easy for me to do, honest. You go on back and make some real good explosives. It'll liven the place up a bit.
Yeah, I guess I better, Stretch. But whatever you do, get that speech pasted together fast.
Okay, pal. Let's see. There's more papers in this basket than I thought. Well, here's one piece that fits to another. No, it don't neither. Well, it almost fits. Oh, it'll be good enough.
Walter? Walter Denton?
Oh, yes, Miss Brooks.
Have you seen Stretch anywhere? I've looked all over the grounds for him. Walter, what are you doing with that cannon?
Cannon? Oh, I'm just polishing it, Miss Brooks. Want everything to look spick and span when Mr. Stone gets here?
Well, he'd better not get here until Stretch shows up with Mr. Conklin's speech. I don't know what he'll do if I don't have it.
There you are, Miss Brooks. Have you finished checking my speech?
Not really, Mr. Conklin.
Well, what do you mean, not really?
I haven't begun. That is, I haven't begun to enjoy anything as much as I did that speech of yours. Stretch is carrying it for me.
Excuse me, Miss Brooks, but here's the speech. It's right in this folder.
Nice timing, Stretch. See, Mr. Conklin, here's your speech.
Oh, not a minute too soon. I think this is Mr. Stone's car driving up right now. Attention, everyone! Attention, everyone! Straighten out those lines. That's right. Now, Miss Brooks, you stand on my left, and I'll stand here by the cannon.
Get a little closer to the cannon, Mr. Conklin. You look stunning together.
Quiet, Denton. Now remember, when Mr. Stone steps out of the car, I'll count 3, and we'll all salute him.
I certainly will.
Ready now? 1, 2...
Walter, what in the world did you put in that cannon?
It was just sort of a giant firecracker, Miss Brooks. Wasn't it keen?
Somebody, please help me out.
Oh, of course, Mr. Conklin. There you are, sir. Everything all right? Now, there's no reason to be embarrassed. That wasn't Mr. Stone's car.
How?
I said that wasn't Mr. Stone's car.
Don't stand there flapping your lips. Say something.
He can't hear a word you're saying. He was standing so close to the cannon, it must have plugged up his ears.
Oh, no. This is terrible, Walter.
What's that? What's that? What did you just say?
We've got to get him into his office. He seems stunned.
Well, all the same, come on, gang. 3 cheers for Mr. Conklin.
Yay, Mr. Conklin! Yay, Mr. Conklin! Yay, Mr. Conklin! What's going on here? Why is everyone so quiet?
Poor Mr. Conklin.
Oh, gosh, Miss Brooks, you don't think Daddy's hearing will be permanently impaired, do you?
Of course not, Harriet. This is just a temporary condition. Shall I say, come in, Mr. Conklin?
What's that? What?
Come in.
Hiya, Miss Brooks. How's Mr. Conklin's hearing?
Very bad, Walter.
Good. We're gonna shoot off the cannon again.
But, Walter!
That was Denton, wasn't it? Did he have anything to do with that explosion by the cannon?
Oh, I'm sure he didn't, Daddy. I say, I'm sure he didn't, Daddy.
That's right, Mr. Conklin. It just exploded. I say it just exploded.
It certainly is corroded. I don't understand what happened. That cannon hasn't been touched since the Spanish-American War. It's almost useless.
What do you mean, useless? We won, didn't we?
You're right. It is unusual for Mr. Stone to be so late. He's quite a busy man, though.
Gosh, Miss Brooks, do you think Daddy's hearing is getting any better at all?
Come in.
He's improving by leaps and bounds. Harriet, please go out and tell Walter to stop that racket at once.
Okay, Miss Brooks, but you'll stay with Daddy, won't you?
Certainly, and don't worry about him, Harriet. He's not in any pain.
All right, Miss Brooks. See you later, Daddy.
Miss Brooks, when Mr. Stone does get here, I don't want him to know that there's anything wrong with my hearing or anything else. If he suspects that a cannon had exploded on school property, he'd go back to the board in a tizzy.
Oh, I understand, Mr. Conklin, and in view of your condition, I think it might be a good idea if I were to read your speech to him.
Well, in view of my condition, it might be a good idea if you were to read my speech to him.
Quite an echo in here.
Now remember to read the speech slowly, Miss Brooks, and when I see your lips stop moving, I'll make some appropriate comment from time to time.
Come in. Well, it's Mr. Stone.
Well, how do you do, Miss Brooks? Sorry I'm late, Osgood. It was totally unavoidable.
Thank you, Mr. Stone, and a Happy New Year to you, too.
I beg your pardon?
Mr. Conklin's a little confused, Mr. Stone. It isn't every day that so distinguished a visitor honors our institution with a visit.
Well, that's very gracious of you, Miss Brooks.
The speech, Miss Brooks, the speech.
Yes, sir. However, Mr. Conklin has prepared a little speech which I will read to you now.
You? Why don't you read it yourself, Osgood?
You see, Mr. Stone, he was so choked with emotion, he's speechless. However, I have it right here. Ooh, nice page job. It's entitled, What the Board of Education Means to Me by Osgood Conklin. It reads, few people realize the magnificent efficiency with which our Board of Education functions. This august body is composed of a group of able members, and these baboons grow to a height of 4 feet.
What?
Every word of this comes from the bottom of my heart. Read on, Miss Brooks.
I don't know whether I should, Mr.
I insist that you do.
Oh, well, the members of the Board of Education make very nice pets, as they don't never bother nobody, but is all the time busy making love.
What is the meaning of this?
Right from the bottom of my heart.
Now see here, Conklin. If this is some sort of joke, I do not like it. I don't like it one bit.
Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Stone. Hand me that last page, Miss Brooks.
Mr. Conklin, I wouldn't suggest that...
Give it here. To sum up, I would like to read what I have written in this last paragraph, to wit, having observed Mr. Stone's educational methods, I am convinced that his outstanding talent is his ability to eat bananas while hanging by his tail. Believe me, Mr. Stone, these sentiments are dictated by... eat bananas while hanging by his tail?
This man has obviously taken leave of his entire
But
senses.
sir, if you'll let me explain, I'm
If
sure...
and when they return, this matter will be thoroughly investigated. Good day to you, Miss Brooks.
Miss Brooks, this isn't the speech that I wrote.
I know it now, Mr. Conklin, but I didn't know it.
I hold you responsible for this entire fiasco. And believe me, Miss Brooks, you have no idea how severe your punishment is going to be.
Oh, yes, I have, Mr. Conklin.
Miss Brooks, where are you going?
Out to get some bananas. There's nothing like hanging by your tail from a flagpole to whip up an appetite.
Now, once more, let's listen to Laverne Smith for Luster Cream.
Tonight? Yes, tonight. Show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Luster Cream, world's finest shampoo. No other shampoo in the world has the lustrous blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Tonight? Yes, tonight. Try Luster Cream shampoo.
And now we return to our visit with our Miss Brooks.
Well, even after he'd read a written confession from Walter and Stretch, Mr. Conklin still blamed me for the day's misadventures. Accordingly, he ordered me to write a brand new speech for him that same afternoon. I wouldn't have minded so much, but it meant breaking one of my rare dates with Mr. Boynton. I was complaining about it as we walked down the hall after school.
It does sound unfair, Miss Brooks, but after all, Mr. Conklin's the boss. What can you do about it?
Well, I could go into his office and tell him off, I suppose, but that wouldn't do any good either. He can't hear a word. Wait a minute. Maybe these are the ideal conditions. A chance to say all the things I've ever wanted to say to Mr. Conklin right to his face.
Well, do you think that's wise, Miss Brooks?
I don't know how wise it is, but it'll certainly do my little heart good.
Excuse me, Miss Brooks. I've got to take this aspirin to Daddy.
Oh, let me take it, Harriet. There's something I'd like to say to him.
He's still pretty upset, Miss Brooks. Maybe I'd better see him alone first.
All right, Harriet.
Here's your aspirin, Daddy, and a glass of water. See? Water. Drink.
Stop gibbering, girl. I can hear you distinctly.
You can?
Yes, it happened just a moment ago. My head cleared and my hearing is perfectly normal.
How wonderful. Oh, Daddy, Miss Brooks is waiting to see you. May I send her in?
Very well.
Daddy will see you now, Miss Brooks.
Oh, goody.
See you tomorrow.
All right, Harriet.
Well, Miss Brooks?
I just wanted to talk to you about my having to stay in this afternoon. You inconsiderate, maladjusted, subhuman tyrant.
What?
I've got some things to tell you that I've been saving up for years, and it's going to be a great pleasure to coo them into your dainty, plugged-up ears.
Eh? How did that go again?
Of all the puffed-up, overstuffed, pompous windbags I've ever met, you take the marble cake, Marblehead.
Eh?
Rather than talk to some sense into that addle-pated, mule-brained little head of yours, I'll do the work this afternoon. Does that make you happy, you beady-eyed, beetle-browed old buzzard?
Yes, Miss Brooks, that makes me very happy.
Good, and I just want to say, Bong! You can hear?
Yes, from the moment you enter this office, you'll be pleased to know that this overstuffed windbag has absorbed your every word. You realize, of course, Miss Brooks, that any chastisement you have suffered in the past is mere child's play when compared with what's in store for you now.
How? Oh, what?
I will not only see to it that our local Board of Education...
Oh, it must be contagious. I can't seem to hear a single word you're saying. It was over 3 hours ago that the cannon went off, and here I am suddenly taken stone deaf. Oh, well, I guess there's no sense in worrying about it. I'll just relax and enjoy the evening.
Now let's hear one last word from Laverne Smith for Palmolive Soap.
The Beauty Wise get bath-sized Palmolive soap for beauty care all over. Yes, for your tub or shower, enjoy the same glorious beauty lather that millions of women have found so wonderful in bringing lovelier complexions in just 14 days. Simply buy the big, thrifty, long-lasting bath-size Palmolive. Use it for your Palmolive soap facials. Enjoy its oceans of creamy, beautifying lather in your tub or shower. Say, men love it too. So let the whole family enjoy bath-sized Palmolive. Yes, the Beauty Wise get bath-sized Palmolive soap today.
Be with us again next time at this same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. This is Dennis Nelson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Thank you so much for joining us during this wacky, hilarious episode of the Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour, right here in the Owen Theater. Special thanks go to director Travis Bryant and the cast and crew of A Christmas Carol Broadway for their gracious permission to share their space for tonight's performance. This Broadway smash musical opens at the Owen Theater on Friday, December 5th. More details or tickets and our Players Theater Company season can be found at owentheater.com. Tonight's technical credits go to Dick Schisler as sound engineer, who also acted as producer for Lone Star Internet Radio. Our sound effects were performed live and from scratch without the use of recordings. Thanks to Martha Davis, who improvised tonight's music. Commercial announcers included Martha Davis and Dennis Nelson. Tonight's episode was directed by Terry Lynn Hale. Series producer on behalf of the Players Theater Company was Timothy Eggert. The Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour was created by Craig Campobello and Dick Schisler, exclusively for the Players Theater Company. This episode of the Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour was performed live in the Owen Theater in partnership with Lone Star Internet Radio in Conroe, Texas on November 23, 2014, and was recorded for encore broadcasts. Visit irlonestar.com every month for freshly archived programs like Dracula, which is now available on demand for your listening pleasure. If you are an actor in the Conroe or Greater Houston area, you are invited to audition for our next episode. That audition will be in the Owen Theater on Monday, December 1st. Check theplayerstc.com for more information. This upcoming production is Miracle on 34th Street. airing live on Sunday, December 21st at 7 p.m. And be sure to listen to us every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on Lone Star Internet Radio. Again, thank you so very much for joining us. Please stay tuned for Lone Star Classical After Dark with Gordon, which starts in just a few moments. From the glittering arts district of downtown Conroe, Texas, this is your series host, Dennis Nelson, wishing you a very pleasant evening and a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for listening to Lone Star Radio Hour here on Lone Star Community Radio. Don't forget, the Lone Star Radio Hour airs every Sunday at 7 p.m. on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you want to join and be part of the Lone Star Radio Hour with your own radio play, contact us today at lscrstudios at gmail.com. We are also looking for support for this time slot, so if you're interested in sponsoring this time slot, contact us again at lscrstudios at gmail.com. And don't forget, this radio play was brought to you by the Players Theater Company in Conroe, Texas. For more information about the Players, please check them out online at owentheater.com/players.